Friday is here with us again, and we're here with episode 2 of season 2. How have you been? I'm good. I'm a bit tired, but I knew I had to come and, have a conversation with you as usual. And we're talking about domestic abuse as usual. And there's one thing that I've come to realize that we take for granted a lot when it comes to how abuse and the trauma affects our brain mentally. Sometimes you're not even aware that your brain has been compromised, because if it's not a wound or you've passed out of a physical attack by a perpetrator, we don't pay much attention to it. So today we're going to be talking abuse and your brain. Domestic abuse is draining. It's difficult to explain. It's how do you call it? Especially when the perpetrator acts charming and loving in public. So until there's a physical, showing or a wound or a scar, people find it difficult to believe that people who are going through emotional, mental, verbal, financial, spiritual abuse have deep wounds that cause them a lot of distress and pain, So I want us to talk about abuse and the brain. Like I said, apart from physical injuries which occur from strangulation, hitting, and things being thrown at you or whatever form that are visible, the rest aren't. But there are scars and wounds which occur, which affect the brain without even the victim being aware that there's been some damage. So like we've clearly stated, domestic abuse or violence can be sexual, it can be psychological, it can be financial, it can be verbal, and it can be physical. The physical one is the most common one because you see someone hit someone, take a table or a chair or an iron. There was a video circulating where a man was using an iron to hit his wife. Some people get slapped and their eyes get swollen and all of those things. There are some where you cannot see the scars because it isn't physical. Now, the one thing that I think we tend to overlook is that in all my years of looking at abuse, stories from other people and all of that, personal experience and all of that, most of the time, these things are not in isolation. There are those who get angry, verbally abuse you and hit you and, all of that. And there are those who will verbally abuse you psychologically, mental, until it gets physical and they hit you because they are fully aware of the fact that hitting you is crossing the line. And so because they don't want anyone else to know that they're abusing you, and so they can keep a hold on you because they all act charming outside, it takes a long time before the monster hits you. You get it? So prior to that, the victim will be going through all kinds of trauma because you cannot reconcile the fact that somebody who's clearly confessed their love for you and has chosen you as a partner and has chosen to do life with you just will not let you have some peace of mind, So I want us to talk about the overall well-being of the victim, because they are equally harmful and they affect you in so many ways. Now, when it comes to abuse, what can cause an injury to your brain? There are, 4 main ways. to hit you in the head, face, head butt you, or hit your face or body with an object. Strangulation, choking, restrict your breathing in any way. Or maybe you fall and hit your head against something on the ground, against the wall or furniture. Or they shake you very vigorously. They shake you in such a manner that your whole body responds to it. Now, thing with brain injury is that they are not visible or obvious. The signs or symptoms could include frequent headaches, vision changes, dizziness, balance issues, memory or concentration difficulty, more than normal fatigue, like you're exhausted all the time, dizziness, trouble sleeping, mood swings or trouble controlling emotions, exhaustion, nausea, vomiting after being hit in the head, or having had yourself shaking by the victim. Now, these are all things that happen because your body is under an enormous amount of pressure, and then research has proven that verbal abuse changes the gray matter in the brain, and it affects you in such a way that you can have headaches, you have intestinal problems and all of that. Now, if you have experienced any of these things, please see a doctor first. See a doctor, rest, avoid additional trauma, eat a healthy diet, and most importantly, have time for yourself. Now, when it comes to verbal and emotional, physical, psychological abuse, these are the type of abuses that can fester for such a long time, and it's hard to spot until a victim speaks up. So they are unable to sleep, they are stressed out, it causes even tension on the heart, there's pain, there's stress, there's body aches. That's how the body reacts, because the body knows and understands the distress and the pain that's going on. It's really sometimes difficult to put a word to it and even to say that this is what is causing it, because you'll be so used to the high conflict and tension that it becomes life as usual, and then you pay no mind to it until something major happens that will cost you your life or your health, or you have to live with a long-term condition, So when these happen, anxiety sets in, depression sets in, suicidal thoughts sets in, post-traumatic syndrome disorder sets in, chronic pain, migraines, eating disorders, digestive issues. Now, somebody might be living with an abusive person and they will develop a digestive issue. They will have chronic pain. But because they are not willing to confront the fact that this person whom they love and care about is causing them trauma, they go to the hospital and they don't mention that it's as a result of it. So they treat it, but the cause of it is not being dealt with the root, and so it just festers and festers and festers until it becomes bigger than it should have been. So the point that people have to realize that you can have one or all of these symptoms at the same time. You can be depressed, have suicidal thought, have the chronic pain, have the migraines, have an eating disorder and digestive issues, because you're trying to deal with it. And even one of these symptoms is enough to stress you out. How much more living with all of these symptoms, So it becomes kind of a difficult situation. Now, if you ever know a victim or a survivor of domestic abuse, be mindful of the words you tell them. Be kind, be generally helpful and warm, because you see, the battle of the mind to regain their mind, their voice, their thoughts back into one place is mitigated by a lot of things, and it takes a strong person to be able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get into healing themselves, because you don't realize that your mind has been deeply affected by the trauma and the abuse. You know you have headaches, you know you have tension, you know you have stress, you know you have anxiety, you're a little bit OCD because you don't want anything to go wrong. You kind of do things in a manner that makes you feel like you're in control because you don't want any surprises, so be kind to yourself, and do not, I always say, pray, but seek therapy. The mind needs to heal, and you've got to process the trauma. What happens when you don't seek therapy is that the trauma is in your subconscious, and it is directing and is being triggered all the time without you even confronting it, and without you giving much thoughts to it. And so when the triggers come and all the other emotions come running back, you do not know how to deal with it. So you keep on traumatizing yourself over and over and over and over again because you are not healing your mind. Therapy is not about mad people. It's to force you to confront your emotions, your ideas, your thoughts, your actions, inactions, why they lead to a certain point, a certain behavior, reactions, why you respond to certain stimulus situation and why you don't to others, how you see yourself, the mindset with which you choose to engage or disengage from conversations that serve or don't serve you, and all of those things, because it's a critical inward looking at yourself. And look, wounds come with pain, right? And to heal a wound that is festering, it will take some time before the pain completely dies off. So if you are not healing the wound, how does it work? The wound will just be there and it will continue to cause you pain upon pain upon pain upon pain. So yes, that's what I will say to that. Now, research has proven that verbal, mental, sexual, financial, spiritual abuse and physical abuse all change patterns within the brain, mutations, as well as decrease the gray matter. So the next time you are tempted to abuse someone, know and understand that the residual effects of abuse on the body, mind, and soul of the victim are enormous and sometimes long-lasting, up until the victim decides to make a conscious effort to regain their power, their strength, their voice, their peace, and by facing their fears daily, by speaking to a therapist or a health professional or a mental health person who can walk them through their choices, because victims like to be victims. Well, let's use that word. Oh, they did this to me, they did that. But you have to realize that you also allow a certain kind of approach, based off of your experiences, personal traumas, and other things. And so perpetrators feel as if they can get away with it until you decide to wake up to the trauma and say, no, you know what, I can't handle this anymore. That's when they get offended, because how dare you? You've taken this for so long. You should not speak up after all the while, because this is who you are. This is who I am. Oh, I care about you the most. Abusers will use, I love you the most, I care about you the most. Oh, I was angry. Oh, this happened, But what they don't realize is that they keep on cutting your wound, cutting through your wound. And it's becoming infested, it's becoming pussy. And if you don't heal it, and you just put Band-Aid on it, it will fester underneath it. So you need to strip it, look inward, and decide that it's important to heal. Understand and know that abuse affects you, your brain, besides the physical and mental signs that you have. There are invisible damages to your mind that you need to confront, heal, and deal with. And for you, who is talking to someone, a victim of abuse, don't invalidate their feelings. Don't ask them why they stayed so long. Don't tell them if it won't happen to you, because it can. And don't just make their story feel like it's overbearing, because it's not. As usual, I want to say thank you for listening. Share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, tell someone about it. And thank you for hanging out with me this Friday evening. If you know me as MFI, you know me as Thinkable, you know me as Doris, you know me as Ama, you know me as Ajman. Whichever name you know me by, I remain yours. Truly, and I appreciate your support. God bless you. Don't forget to be kind, because sometimes people don't wear their hearts on their sleeves because their hearts are in pain. Just be kind. You don't need an explanation of why you ought to be kind, but just be kind. This has been Conversations with Ama, and thank you for listening. God bless you.